In 1811, a group of English textile workers smashed the machines that were replacing them. They called themselves the Luddites. History remembers them as people who lost. Every generation has had its version of this story. The printing press put scribes out of work. The tractor put farmhands out of work. The ATM was supposed to end bank tellers. The spreadsheet was supposed to end accountants. And every time, the same thing happened. New jobs appeared. Different jobs. More jobs. The economy adapted. Humans adapted. So when people say AI will take all the jobs, maybe they're just the next generation of Luddites. Maybe. But this time, something is different. Every previous wave of automation replaced physical labor. Machines took over the jobs that required muscle, repetition, endurance. But human minds, our creativity, our judgment, our ability to understand other humans, that was always the safe zone. The jobs that survived automation were the ones that required thinking. Until now. Because AI doesn't just do physical things. It writes, it diagnoses, it designs, it codes, it composes music, it argues cases in court, it passes medical licensing exams. For the first time in history, the tool isn't just replacing your hands. It's replacing your head. And that changes the math entirely. Not all jobs are equally at risk. There's a pattern. The most vulnerable jobs are the ones built on information processing, taking data in, applying a rule, producing an output. Radiologists reading scans, lawyers reviewing contracts, accountants filing returns, translators converting text. These are highly skilled, highly paid jobs, and AI is already doing them faster, cheaper, and in many cases more accurately than humans. The next tier is creative work. Writing, design, music, code. AI is already competitive here. Not perfect, but competitive and improving every 6 months. The most protected jobs, for now, are the ones that require physical presence in unpredictable environments. Plumbers, electricians, nurses, teachers in a room with 30 kids. The irony is brutal. The jobs we called unskilled are harder to automate than the jobs we called professional. But here's the deeper question, and this is the one that matters. Even if your specific job survives, what does it mean to work in a world where the machine is always better? We've built our entire civilization around work. Not just economically, psychologically. When you meet someone new, the first question you ask is, what do you do? Not, who are you? What do you do? We tie our identity to our profession, our purpose to our productivity, our worth to our output. And this made sense for most of human history because survival required labor. If you didn't work, you didn't eat. But what happens to a species that has spent 10,000 years defining itself through work when work is no longer necessary? This isn't a new question. Aristotle asked it. He said that the purpose of labor was to create leisure, and that leisure was where the real human life happened. Philosophy, art, friendship, civic life. He imagined a world where machines did the work, and humans were finally free to be fully human. We might be about to find out if he was right. There is a thought experiment worth sitting with. Imagine a world where AI can do every cognitive task better than any human. It writes better novels. It makes better medical decisions. It designs better buildings. What is left? Here's what I think is left. The desire for human connection. Not simulated connection. Real connection. The knowledge that another conscious being who has suffered and loved and doubted and hoped is choosing to be present with you. The experience of being witnessed, of being known, of mattering to someone who could have chosen not to care. A machine can produce a perfect piece of music, but it cannot be moved by it. A machine can write a perfect eulogy, but it cannot grieve. A machine can simulate empathy, but it cannot feel the weight of another person's pain and choose to carry some of it. The last human job might not be a job at all. It might be the act of being human. Fully, deliberately, irreducibly human. In a world that no longer requires it for survival. Here is what I think is true. The jobs will change. Many will disappear. New ones will appear that we can't imagine yet, just like every time before. But the deeper disruption isn't economic. It's existential. For the first time, we will have to answer the question that work has always allowed us to avoid. Who are you when you're not being useful? And I think that question, as terrifying as it sounds, is actually the most important question our species has ever been forced to ask. Because the answer isn't nothing. The answer is a person who can love and grieve and wonder and create meaning in the face of meaninglessness. A person who can look at another person and say, I see you. I'm here. That matters. No machine has ever done that. No machine ever will. The last human job is being human. And you're already doing it.